It is a huge honor today to be talking to the real Howard.
Oh, stop it.
Howard Goldstein, DDS.
DMD.
Oh, you're a DMD?
I'm a DMD. Not that it makes a difference, but I'm a DMD.
Yeah, we could do a whole conversation on that. I think that it's very confusing to the consumer. I noticed the last 6 dental schools that opened were all DMD, and the medical school deans are telling me there will never be another DDS school again. And I still have patients that come in and ask me, well, I'm going to this physician, but it's a DO. Is that a real doctor? Should I go to MD? And now in Phoenix, people are always asking me, well, I don't know if that last sounds any good. He's a DMD, and the dentist before that was a DDS, and I'm not going to a DMD again. And I think that I think on behalf of the consumer, we should all be the same thing. We should be a DDS. But hey, to everyone out there, I got 18,000 posts on Dental Town. Hogo, you have what, 30,000?
I had 30,000, but you deleted 2,000 of them, so I'm down to 28,000 now.
I deleted 2,000.
Oh yeah, back in we had a whole political purge back in 2004.
Oh,
and I
yeah.
lost 2,000 posts. They weren't anything good anyway. Don't worry about it.
You don't, to the viewers, what that was is there was some political feud going on between dentists from Israel and Palestine. I did a key search word in a post for Israel or Palestine, and then just deleted them all.
It was the right.
And what I didn't realize is that a lot of dentists had the word Israel in their signature or Palestine in their signature. So I deleted a bunch of non-political posts, and it was
it was the right move at the time.
What it was a move, and I was running 30 minutes late. I had hygienists begging me for a check. I had this big Dental Town thing blowing up on me, and I had like 1 minute to solve it. So that was my solution. But Hogo, you came in and you corrected my single biggest mistake I've ever made on the Dental Town website, and that is I was a registered libertarian. And I thought, all dentists have, I have 7 years of college. I had 3 years undergrad, 4 years dental school. These dentists have 7 to 12 years of college if they're specialists. And I thought, we're all adults, we're all doctors. And I thought it was an insult to go in there and edit your post or this or that. And I just said, I'm a libertarian, let free market forces. And what I completely did not understand at the time, because no one understood message board communities back in '98, is that the way humans are hardwired, and it doesn't matter if it's Dental Town or if it's a programmer's website or an engineer's website, there's a ton of research on community websites, and the bottom line is 99% of the people go there to read and maybe will ask a question, but they don't even have the guts to post a case they did, because how could you post a root canal final fill and have everybody like it on Dental Town? How could you post anything? And what I did not understand is cyberbullying. And now, all 4 of my kids were started wrestling at age 5, so we never had the bully issue. But now it's all over the news. There's kids that go into school and pick on some kid, and there are people hardwired at birth, or maybe not hardwired at birth, maybe through their shaping or whatever, where they're just mean, nasty bullies. And I didn't check it, and you came on about, what was it? You just had your, 3-year anniversary with us?
I came on in 2003. I started working for Dental Town in 2009.
Yeah, and you came in, and the big problem was people, they were stressed out by their patients, their staff, their insurance companies. They'd want to get on Dental Town just to relax and chill, like Facebook or something like that. And it wasn't fun anymore. And people were being mean. And so we were losing townies, saying, no, there's just too many mean, nasty people. And you came in there, and the greatest thing any business can do is attract and retain great people. And you were the number one person we wanted. And we got you to sell your practice and come on board full time. And you cleaned house. You basically laid down the rules, said, hey, this is Dennis would say things like, well, it's freedom of speech. The Constitution. The Constitution is a contract between you and your government. You have the right for free speech to your government, but you don't have the right to come into my house or my dental office or my private website that's not government owned and has no government money and be mean to my guest. And 3 years, you cleaned it up overnight. And 3 years later, when I'm out there lecturing, I still hear the feedback from the old days of people saying, yeah, and they would name the specific guys and we know who they were. And just crazy, dysfunctional, unhappy, miserable people who were just sitting there saying mean things. I think that it just takes an enormous amount of self-esteem to sit there and post a clinical case that you did, knowing that everyone doesn't have hands of Beethoven or Mozart on the piano, but you can still go to a piano recital, and you don't need to hear people say, "Well, you're not Beethoven." Well, I know I'm not Beethoven. I'm at a piano recital. I practice 1 hour a day. So I don't want to. So why don't you come in? And what I want you to do is tell them what is the you're in charge of the message boards. You're in charge of online CE, and I'd like all these townies to hear from the man himself. This is your department. Every time you ask me for advice, I say it's your call, baby doll. I mean, it's yours.
And I love when you call me baby doll. By the way,
you do or don't?
I do.
It's a gay thing.
It makes it feel special.
Okay, so tell everybody what your vision is. What are you trying to achieve on the message boards and the online CE?
What you originally started talking about was how downtown used to be. When I first joined downtown in 2003, it was the Wild West. I mean, someone would post a case, and instead of saying, well, I do things a little bit differently, blah, 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 they would say, how did you ever graduate dental school? You suck. You're like a menace to your patients. And it was just a matter of someone doing things a little bit differently than the way they did. And it just drove me crazy to see that. And that's the way it was. It was just the way people were used to responding and so on. Then you kept saying that at every lecture you presented, people were coming up to you during the break saying, I'm not going to post on Dental Town. I don't want to get my head handed to me. And that drove you crazy, and rightfully so. So when I came aboard first as an administrator, and there was about 10, 11 of us, and our jobs were to change things. And
okay, explain to everybody what an administrator is and what these days.
There's a volunteer member of Dental Town, a dentist, that if it sees something inappropriate, can change it or can contact the person and say, hey, that wasn't cool, or they can delete the post or edit the post for whatever reason. And you made it clear at that about 2006, 2007 that your vision of downtown changed. You no longer wanted these abusive posts. You no longer wanted the spamming posts, say, come buy our product. We wanted a message where people could interact. And as an administrator, I thought you made it loud and clear what your vision was. So I thought it was my job as an administrator to help implement these changes. Not all the administrators agreed with me. We were having debates like, no, that your vision is wrong. It's censorship. And I'm saying, no, the debate isn't whether it's right or wrong. It's how we implement Howard's vision, because that's what he wants and that's what it should be.
And can I interrupt one thing about censorship? Is almost every party or get together I have at my house, almost every time someone starts going into a dark area of politics or religion, and I just sit there and say, look, dude, I'm 52 years old, and I don't want to have an all-night discussion on Putin invading the Ukraine and everybody upset and cussing out, because there's nothing I can do to change anything, and I trust that our government has good people making the best decision, and there's a football game on, we have food. Can we talk about anything other than sex, religion, politics, violence, Fox News? I don't want to hear it. It doesn't make me happy.
The sex part's okay, Come on.
But it's true. I mean, I'm always having to cut people off and say, I don't care. I don't want to obsess all day long about the worst things going on right now with ISIS. I don't want to spend my day debating ISIS.
You're never going to change anyone's position politically. I mean, it's just not going to happen.
Or religiously.
Or religiously, exactly. So what's the point? I mean, if you enjoy that, sure, do it, but not. Well, if we don't enjoy it, we don't enjoy it. So I start changing things, and some of the administrators gave me some kickback and everything, and Lori Zalowski, who is your right-hand man, president of Farran Media, she said to me, "Hey, I really feel bad that you're arguing with fellow administrators. It's really not fair for you, I said, "Well, I know a way to make it fair." And she goes, "How's that?" I go, "Pay me." So she ended up hiring me, and then I had the authority to really put in writing the changes that needed to be done, and I felt comfortable doing it now because I was officially a part of the brand media team. But I'm also a full-time dentist with a full-time practice. So here I am treating patients, between patients, running back to my computer, doing my thing on Dental Town, and my hygienist say, "Mrs. Jones is still in the chair waiting for you to do the checkup. Come on already." I go, "Oh yeah, okay, great." And I was realizing I was into the Dental Town part of things more than the patient part of things. Now, I was a dentist I had my own private practice for 29 years. So it wasn't like just I did it for a couple of years, I got tired of it. I did it for 29 years. And I realized, okay, if I'm going to enjoy this more, I feel like I'm doing more now, it's time for me to make a change in my life.
You know how I know that you enjoy it?
How?
I could list out of 50 people on our team, the people that are still sending emails at 11 o'clock at night, Saturdays and Sundays, and every single holiday. You, Lori, Ken. I mean, we carry we have email discussions on Christmas and Easter and Thanksgiving, and I mean, my gosh, we're crazy.
I know we're nuts, but
well, it must be a big part of passion.
Yeah, it is. I've always enjoyed it, and I get something out of it besides money. I just enjoyed doing it because I did it for 3 years as a volunteer, and
that's pretty nice to have a job that you did the first 3 years for free.
Right.
I mean, how many people right now employed in America would do their job the next 3 years for free?
Yeah, it didn't turn. It wasn't my plan to have a job. But that was not that way.
Yeah.
But and I think we have made big changes on the message board. I mean, people are aware now that you can definitely disagree, definitely debate. I mean, that's the main part of the message board. But there's a way of doing it in a respectful manner,
Yeah, and I learned a lot of that. My oldest sister is a Catholic nun, and you said you're not going to change people's mind on religion or politics or whatever. I mean, you couldn't send my sister to a one-day seminar and make her a Jew, a Muslim, a Hindu, a Buddhist. But you know what? When people debate her, she is so sweet, and she just sells her position. And she makes you feel better, and she's not demeaning. And I mean, she has her beliefs, and they're as hardcore as you could get for a Carmelite cloistered nun.
Right.
I mean, and you're not going to change your mind. But like Mother Teresa, it's about love and respect. And I think that on Dental Town, that if someone's posting a case is not right, you should be taking him under your wing with love and trust and respect and nurture. And you start off with saying 5 nice things about the case. And then you say a little thing that maybe you would add. And then one thing I would add, which no one will ever talk about and no one will ever say this, is that, in my practice, yesterday I saw a dozen patients. And, I see dentists getting mad at the outcome of their filling or their crown or their root canal, and they're all upset because maybe the margin wasn't quite right, and I see them throw instruments or get mad and run off their staff or snap at people and make them cry on a patient who doesn't ever floss, who came to his appointment with a Mountain Dew, and I've extracted so many hundreds of perfect gold crowns with perfect margins that are extracted because blown out perio, never flossed in their life, won't come back on their cleanings. And sometimes dentists are critiquing dentistry on Dental Town or their own work on a patient, and the patient doesn't give a shit. When the patient doesn't give a rat's ass, why are you torturing yourself? So I would do a dentistry on Howard Goldstein, and I'd redo it 3 times to nail it perfectly, and you would do the same for me. But gosh, when you got a patient in the chair who's missed 3 appointments, never flossed in his life, and maybe the filling isn't an A+, maybe it's a B-, you know what? It's good enough for that guy.
That's a good point, Howard.
And no one will say that publicly.
No, I know.
There's nothing wrong with C dentistry on a D- F patient.
Here you go.
Should that be a quote?
Yeah, not on your tombstone. No, it's interesting that besides that, we want to critique some work on there, but also there's more than one way of doing things right, and not many dentists feel that way. Too many of them people get saying my way is the only right way. I mean, the whole amalgam versus resin debate is ridiculous because the people that are pro amalgam say no, there's cases where you can't do composite. Well, that's bullshit. You can do it. And the pro composite people say, oh, the amalgam is an outdated material. No, it's not outdated. You still can use it. It's just different ways of doing things correctly. And that drives me crazy. And they can debate all they want, but they can't call someone a hack or a schmuck for doing it that way.
Well, let's get personal with that. That was one of my most controversial columns. I said, and you tried to give me fatherly advice to not run the article like I did, and I should have ran it through you, but I still stick to my original message, and that is, if you didn't place an amalgam last year, to me that's extremist. I mean, so you got a patient with Alzheimer's, dementia, rheumatism.
You suck, Howard. I can't believe you said no.
And you're doing these class 5s on root surface decay, and an amalgam is going to release tin ions and be antibacterial, and you put an inert plastic composite in an area that you couldn't get dry that was subgingival, especially on the backs of the buccals of 2 and 3, and you place a cosmetic restoration of inert plastic with no antibacterial properties on a woman who doesn't even know her name and can't even brush or floss her teeth and is in a nursing home. And maybe, it could have been a glass ionomer to have some antibacterial properties and those are huge in Japan and Australia, not very common in the United States. And I always argue this with a friend that we both know dearly. His kid was his kid was 10, had an occlusal pit, and he placed composite. And I'm like, dude, the research is that's going to last probably 7 to 10, and an amalgam would last 30 to 40, and nobody would have ever seen the occlusal surface of a pit on the meso. Why did you go inert plastic? And I've had some very positive conversations with the CEOs of some of the biggest composite companies in the world saying, you're always coming out with new composites, and you always advertise the bonding strength and the wear rates. We don't have these fillings falling out. We're not having them wear down. They're inert plastic. They die from recurrent decay. Can't you put anything in there to make them antibacterial? You got 60 PhD scientists, and you keep going with bond strength and wear rates. I want biology. I want antibacterial. I want a rat trap.
You're right. You're wanting that, but on everything else in this, I disagree with you. Okay. You can get things dry back on the second mill or the third. You can. It takes a little bit of time with a rubber dam, an isolate, with cord, with cheek retractors. You can do it. I want that material that's going to bond in there. I mean, if the tooth can't stay dry, I don't want to put an amalgam in there either. I mean, it's not sanitary. I want to know that tooth is totally dry and I'm bonding to the material. And then, as you said earlier, some people are going to be the Mountain Dew people. They're not going to take care of their teeth. Well, it's as far as I'm concerned, that's on their shoulders. I mean, I'm going to put what I think is the great material, and they have to keep it clean. And if they don't, then more work for me down the road. But I mean, I'm sorry. I think teeth should look like teeth.
And that's another thing that we've been talking about. The future of dental town is that American dentists, of all the people you'll ever meet, I've lectured to dentists in 50 countries. And when you go talk to any dentist in Europe, he can tell you the name of the president of 20 other countries and their world history and all that. But here's America with an ocean on each side, Canada to the north, which is just kind of like the upstairs loft in an apartment complex. They're no different. And Mexico to the south. And I think the 150,000 American dentists forget all day long that there's 2 million dentists around the world. And these lurkers that are watching you do about your dentistry, they oftentimes are from Asia and Africa and Latin America, and they don't get the luxury of all the resources we have. They don't get CBCT, they don't get CERAC, they don't get digital x-rays. And I think that what you're doing, Hogo, with your online CE is, trying to make all the American dentists 1 or 2% better through online CE is a difficult feat, but it's a little marginal gain. But we have the chance to make dentists in Africa, Asia, and Latin America twice as good, faster, easier, lower cost, higher quality. And I want to tell these dentists out there that are posting cases on dental school, I've lectured in dental schools in India, in China, and Kathmandu, Nepal, where their entire curriculum, I mean the entire curriculum, they're called private dental schools, was Dental Town. And those online CEs and those cases. And I want to tell the dentist listeners that being raised Irish Catholic, St. Patrick is always known with a 3-leaf clover. And that was his teaching prop to teach the Trinity of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. And when they opened up the missions in California, to the wild people. I mean, you go to California, you see Disneyland and Universal Studios in Hollywood. Well, read the books of the Jesuits that got there first and started educating these people. And these dentists right now that are posting cases on Dental Town from America, mainly in Canada and in England or whatever, in Australia, they are educating the other 1.5 million dentists, and they are changing lives all around the world. And now that we just started with the Dental Town app, because only 500,000 dentists in America have access to a desktop computer. But now we came out with that app, and the other 1.5 million dentists, our research shows they pretty much all have a cell phone, smartphone. Right. And I think that this app, which is just past 20,000 downloads, and you look at the downloads, and half of those are from Africa. India's our biggest. India's our biggest download. And so right now, Hogo, you have an immense burden of responsibility of being the St. Patrick's of Ireland, where it's going to be you're the dean of the biggest dental school in the world, because like University of Phoenix Online, I mean, everybody talks about Penn State, Ohio State, ASU, and I think California's got a school out there. I think they got one somewhere, a Trojan thing, or a Trojan or whatever that was they bought in a bathroom. But right now on Dental Town, oh my God, you're the dean of the largest dental school in the world. And I was in Tanzania, Africa, and I always stop at, anytime I see a dental office, I stop, get out, go in there and everything. And he was telling me, I mean, he just went on and on. He actually got verklempt and teared when he found out it was me. And oh my God, his whole world is Dental Town. Everything the guy thinks and believes in his practice in Tanzania, he learned on Dental Town. And these Americans think they're posting a case and arguing with 4 other dentists from Texas and California, and they don't realize that the dentists in Africa are hanging on every word these people are saying.
Which is why, getting back to the message board, we have to make sure that things are civil, because we want to show off the best light, show off that, it's not a controversy. You can do there's more than one way of doing things right, and if it's not shown right, then explain to people why it's not right in a civil manner. But yeah,
and the other direction I'd like to take online CE is we always get these brand name superstars like Hornbrook and these big flashy names that do or Samir Puri or to do these high tech cases and these high composites and these high deals. But what we need to encourage, and I hope this podcast gets it, is these guys, these 1.5 million dentists in Africa and India and China and South America and everything. We need just an average American dentist doing average work. Like when I go to Africa, they say, I wish you did more stuff on extractions. Like, I just want to see how more courses on like an MOD amalgam or adding a tooth to a partial. But when you talk to a cosmetic dentist and say, will you do one on a flipper? They look at you like, what, and tarnish my brand of Lamborghini, Mercedes? I'm not going to do a flipper, and neither should you.
I'm really trying hard to get more Idiot's Guide to Dentistry, that type of thing, courses. They're good refreshers for people that do a lot of dentistry, but also help the people that, as you say, in third world countries that need to see how we do things in a practical way. And you need a mixture of both.
Right.
The high end, how to augment bone for implants and so on. That maybe 1% of dentists are doing, but we also want to show 95% of dentists how to do a simple partial denture or simple restoration. And a lot of our courses are that. It shows you bread and butter dentistry, and I think that's important.
Right, and trying to get the townies to post bread and butter dentistry is the most important. When you and I go from standing 5.5 feet above the ground to being lowered 5.5 feet below the ground, I think the biggest impact our life's meaning will be professionally will be capturing the bread and butter dentistry from the 20 richest countries and using the internet and the cell phone, smartphone, to transfer that knowledge to the 1.5 million dentists who have never seen bread and butter dentistry in the world's richest countries.
Right. Absolutely, absolutely. And I'm reaching out to people. I want more of the bread and butter courses because we want to do that, and I want to get these foreign dentists too on Dental Town to actually present cases and so on. And I think that would be good. Dental Town, for some reason, it's we have people from all over the world, aren't we? From every single country is a member of Dental Town. Yet I'd say, what would you say, like 95, 98% of the people that post are from the United States. And I would like other people to feel more comfortable.
And I talked to those people. I mean, I was in last month. I was in 4 continents. I lectured in 4 continents in 29 days. Oh my God, there's so many 15-hour flights in there. I feel like I'm a flight attendant.
I couldn't do it.
I mean, it's just brutal. And what they always say to me is they always say, "Oh, I could never add to that discussion. I just read it. I just read it." And but getting more Americans to post bread and butter dentistry from Canada and Australia and England, and that's just it's life changing to a dentist in Tanzania or Belize or in Brazil. I mean, it's just literally life changing.
Right.
And what's also neat about the app is the app technology. You can open it in your own language. So that's
I'm
real.
not sure what my language is, but I'll try it.
Yeah. Well, Josh Wren's course you just put up is a classic example. I mean, this guy.
That is bread and butter pedo. Dentists how to do stainless steel crowns. It's telling them how to do pulpotomies. It's telling them how to do space maintainers. All things that general dentists from all over the world need to know how to do to treat kids.
Well, let me tell you about that course from 30,000 feet or from sitting on the moon. So in last year, I met the first pedodontist in Hong Kong, the first pedodontist in Nepal, or Kathmandu, Nepal, and the first pedodontist in New Delhi. And all the dentists, I'm 52 next week, all the dentists that were my age or older said that the first 5 to 10 years they practiced, they never saw a cavity in a child under 10. They never saw one because they're poor countries. They just drank water. And now the whole world went from drinking water to Coke and Pepsi. And now the 3 fastest growing diseases in the world are dental decay, obesity, and diabetes. In fact, when I was in Nepal, this dentist fixed up a dinner with these older physicians because they say, they'll believe you because you're an American. But when kids were going in there and bedwetting and full-blown diabetes, they were spanking them as a behavioral issue. Like, you're wetting the bed, you need a spanking and you need to knock that off, because in their mind, they never saw this disease. And now there's an endocrinologist in Hong Kong that treats diabetes. He opened his doors and quit accepting new patients in like 3 days and was booked 6 months in advance. And China still doesn't know what diabetes is. And they're all drinking Coke. And China's the worst. You know why China's the worst?
Yeah.
They have the 1 child per rule, right? So 1 child has a mom and dad and 2 grandmas and 2 grandpas. And the 2 grandmas and grandpas are eating traditional diets. The kids are eating traditional diets, but they all think to spoil this kid to buy him treats. So this kid consumes 90% of all the sweets of the mom and dad and 2 grandparents combined. So 6 adults aren't eating any of this. They're all feeding it to the kid, and they have no idea why their little kid is a little porker and just has cavities all around his mouth, because in their traditional China, they never associated that you could eat something and it'd make you fat and need a pulpotomy. And Josh Wren's pulpotomy courses and how to do pediatric dentistry is just spot on what the planet needs.
He's one of the guys I'm so happy that we have. He's a young guy, a young dentist, young pedodontist, who never presented CE before and knew he wanted somehow to get involved in this. This is a lifelong ambition of his to do this. And we just started talking one time, and he said, "I guess I can do that, but can you guide me?" And and he said he recorded something and sent it to me, and it was like, it's a poor quality recording. He was not really sure what he was saying, and I felt funny, but I said, "Josh, can we do this over again and do this and that?" And he was so grateful for the advice. And to be honest, so many CE presenters don't have that ego level that they can handle advice. And he took it, and he's running for it. He's going to be one of the top speakers in the next 15 years. He's amazing.
And he's doing an Ironman next week.
He's doing Ironman
in Mississippi. He's doing his second or third one.
And another guy I'm so proud of, who is John Nosty. I mean, my God, this guy is he's gonna be Frank Spear and John Coyce in 15 years. I mean, that's who he is, and he's presenting these cases. He's a moderator, administrator on Dental Town, and
with no ego.
No ego.
Totally approachable. I mean, he's a guy. He would talk to a guy on a park bench and Obama the same conversation. I mean, the guy has no ego.
And he's just an amazing. I mean, if I, God forbid, fell down and knocked my front tooth out, I'd go to John Nosty. That's who I'd go to. And he's just that's great collision. And so many people learn from him on Dental Town. And we have so many people on Dental Town that are just, superstars like John Kanka. I mean, the guy basically invented bonding, and he's there posting regularly there. And
he's got 40,000 posts too.
Well, only 10 of them are good.
only 12 of them have nothing to do with the Republican-Democratic debate.
Yeah, exactly. No, John, we're kidding.
He's a great guy.
Yeah, but we could go on and on about the great people in town. And but basically, the bottom line is the bread and butter dentist. That's the superstars of dental town.
Okay, Helga, what I want to do, we're half done. I 30 minutes down, 30 minutes to go. I get literally gazillions of emails a day, and I'll give you an example. They'll say, I heard your 59 forms that you use to run your Today's Dental office in Phoenix, that you email them to people. They don't understand that all they got to go to is the more and then click downloads, and they're all on the website. When I'm out there lecturing in the field, half the questions are, I really wish Dental Town would do this. And I'm like, dude, we've been doing that, that you could do that for 10 years. I mean, they just don't know the basic things on dental. In fact, what surprises me is you look at the data, half the people that go to Dental Town don't go to the message boards?
I see people at conventions that say, "Oh, you have a message board? I just read the magazine." I go,
"What?" At every seminar, at least two people say, "Yeah, I love Dental Town. I love the website, but where do you go where the people are talking to each other?"
I don't get that.
So why don't you? We got 30 more minutes. Why don't you? And a lot of these people listening to this are probably hardcore Howard Goldstein fans that think they're townies and everything. But why don't you go through the low-hanging fruit of the things you could do on Dental Town that these people probably don't even realize?
Well, I mean, the main thing is, as you said, the message board. If you have a question, I mean, so many times I'm sitting there, I have a question about something, like I'm thinking, well, gee, how am I going to find out the answer to that? I go, oh, wait a second, I'm going to post it on Dental Town. I mean, I posted like these headphones, right? I wanted the best kind of headphones that are still portable and lightweight and all that. I started a thread on Downtown a while ago. Which are the best headphones? And I got 27 replies, and then I was able to check out and see which ones I liked.
And another interesting thing is you don't even have to ask a question, because in our search bar, just like Google, when you start to type out your search, it'll prompt the previous searches. So let's you want to say, like, how do you find an MB2 or this or laser or whatever? You start typing in your search, and all the other dentists who are searching something similar starts popping up on that search. I almost can't think of a question that you could ask on Dental Town that if you did start typing in the question in the search bar, you'd find a thread that already has discussed this.
That's the second best thing about our message board. The best thing is this. I've been on dental message boards on Facebook, okay? Somebody posts a case on Facebook, and it's discussed about for a couple of days, and then it just scrolled down and gone forever. You never see it again. On Dental Town, it's archived. I mean, you can go to look up implants on central incisors, and then there'll be a whole list of discussions in the past about it. You can click on any one of them and read them and see that case again. Facebook, it's gone. Any other forum, it's gone. That's what I love about it downtown is things are safe.
And I was at a fork of that road in 1998, and I was looking at the email forms, and what I didn't like about the email forms, like say Roots ZX, was that someone would ask a case about an endo, and the first time that question was asked, everybody went in with enthusiasm and answered it. 3 months later, someone would ask the exact same question. There's no archive. No one can go back and find it. Exactly. And then so only half as many people would go in. And then 3 months later, someone got asked the same question and nobody would answer. Then that person would think, well, this is a lame group. And it's the same thing on Facebook. What I also don't understand on Facebook is back to that St. Patrick is these people are posting all these cases on Facebook to like 300 people. And it's like that same time, Dentaltown just passed 182,000 members. And if you would have had that discussion on Dentaltown, there would have been more people that could have benefited from this just from Africa alone, just from Asia alone, just from Latin America alone, to benefit from this. So there's no scale of economy. And again, like I said, there's no organization. So you go to their page and that conversation, you'd have to scroll back forever to find it.
On Dentaltown, you'll see people, especially now that they know they're not going to get abused, people will post a case or a situation and say, hey, how can I improve on this? See what I did? I had a little trouble here. On Facebook now, they post their best stuff, and it basically is, look how great I am. Please tell me how great I am. And that's the feeling I get, you know? I mean, they're great cases, but it's more like it's being posted for the platitudes that they want to get.
Right,
you know?
and you'll see it where
more learning.
Like they'll have like the initial tooth, the access occlusal, the access prep, and 2 angles of the final fill showing 3 lateral canals, and they're like, look at me.
Right, aren't I awesome?
It's like, well, you didn't explain anything. I didn't learn anything. You just basically showed everybody, oh, look at me, I got a medal. Here's my gold medal.
That's exactly what every time I see Facebook Dentistry, that's what I get. I mean, it's not learning, it's more like showing off.
Yeah.
There's some showing off, of course, but it's also learning. People could ask questions. We had a superstar periodontist, which I'm not going to name, and you know who I'm talking about, that would post these great surgical cases on Dentaltown for years and years. And someone would ask him a question, hey, how did you do that? And he would flip out and say, how dare you question my expertise? You know, and they would just want to learn from him. And finally, I hated to do it. We had to get rid of the guy because he just wasn't letting people discuss his cases. It was more like, look how great I am. And that's what Dentaltown's about. Dentaltown's about learning. You know, we want to learn.
Let's discuss another thing that we've had this debate many times, and I won't change my mind because Rella Christian's the one who sold me on. That's the anonymity versus the name. And a lot of people don't like the anonymity. They want you to say, I'm Howard Farran or you're Howard Goldstein, and they have a smiley tooth. And I talked to, I got a couple of mothers out there in dentistry, you know, where I confide in. And Rella Christian said to me, she goes, you know, the greatest service you can do with Dentaltown is there's got to be a place to go where a dentist can ask a stupid question. And as lecturers, Rella said, you're a lecturer, I'm a lecturer. She goes, you notice you ask the group, does anybody have any questions? No hands. You say, okay, well, let's take a 10-minute break and everybody go to the bathroom. And then you're stampeded by 15 people. Yeah. And then when they're asked that question, half the time I just write down, I say, well, you know, I'd like to go into that for 10 minutes, but I'd like to go into it for the whole room so we can all benefit. And the reason, and so I want you to talk about the debate there because people especially hate being critiqued by someone anonymous. But gosh, I mean, if we made everybody be transparent with their name, no one's going to raise their hand and show a bad case or ask a stupid question.
3 people posting, that would be it.
And by the way, when people say there's no such thing as a stupid question, no, there are stupid questions, okay? I'm just kidding. That's a joke. That's a comedy joke.
I totally agree with you.
I'm an amateur comedian.
I know you're doing very good from what I hear. I've seen you in lecture. You're funny. Well, sometimes you don't intend to be, but you are. But no, to be anonymous is important because you don't want. Sometimes you just want to know. You want to ask that question that everybody says you should know, but you don't know, and it's important.
And by the way, you know they're not anonymous to you and me. We know who they are.
Right. We make sure that every single person down is a real person. We don't share this information with anyone, so we want to reassure everyone about that. But we do not let people, you know, Robert Redford come in, who maybe names come in here and just, you know, they could be. We don't let patients come in here.
So everybody that registers has to be approved. So every single, and Millie, we have a full-time person. Millie approves every single person, and some of it's pathology. I'll never forget that thread where a guy had registered like in 5 different names and started a thread and then was answering himself. He was having a conversation with himself, and it's like, what is that?
We have a lot more controls over that than we did in the past. And at first, you know, we just, you know, hired Millie, and she didn't We never had a full-time person checking the new registrations. As it is, there's still people grandfathered in from back then that we catch every now and then. Every time I see someone post something a little bit controversial, I never seen that person post before, I immediately go to the registration just to make sure it's a real person. And we ask for the dental license number, and I'll look up on at the state of Nevada and see if that person really is registered at the state of Nevada. And we catch people every now and then, unfortunately, and we give them 24 hours to change their registration, to update it for correct information. And they certainly can't post during those 24 hours. But, we give everybody opportunity to fix things because they might have just done it wrong or something. But we give
and there's also the report abuse button.
That's important. I
tell them what that are. Tell them about some features. Tell them about the report abuse, how to follow somebody.
On every single post, there's a little button there that says report abuse. Now, if you suspect someone that this person doesn't sound like they're really a dentist, I think this is a fake person, rather than calling them out on the board and saying, hey, are you real? No, don't do that. Hit the report abuse button. It comes right to me. I can check it out, and I can either delete the post or not. It just keeps things more civil.
How often do you get a report abuse?
About 2-3 times a day.
Seriously, 2 or 3 times a day? And how many of them are mine?
About you.
You only got what? I only know one about me. I said a joke. It was Bill O'Reilly. He said, killing Kennedy, killing this, killing, what was it? Kennedy, Jesus, Lincoln. Yeah. And I said, I want to read killing Bill O'Reilly. And,
there you go.
Some dentist.
But actually, we get, what's amazing is, what number one thing we get a report of abuse on is not from personal attacks, which we get, and not from is someone really a dentist or not. It's spam. People hate when someone comes on there and says, hey, buy our dental widget. It's the best in the country. This month we're having a special 7 for $9.99. It drives townies crazy to see that.
Yeah, and what those
should engage downtown. They should come on there, give helpful advice. Then, in your signature at the bottom, put your contact information, what you sell, and when townies see this guy knows what they're talking about, then they contact you.
Let's talk about that versus we also have OrthoTown. So there's 9 specialties, and the mnemonic device, the only thing I can think of, the first letter of all 9 specialties, is Pope Poodoo. Periodontist, oral surgery, So you spell it Pope, P-O-O-D-O, Pope Poodoo. Those are 9 specialties. The orthodontists were the only ones who wanted their own. All the other 8 specialties were fine with Dental Town, but I just want to remind everybody that we own Dentist Town. We could have called it Dentist Town, but we specifically went with Dental Town because I think there's about 1,000 dental companies that if they closed their doors and went away, we can't do rockin' hot dentistry. We wouldn't have CBCTs, digital x-rays, Root ZX Apex locators, 300 RPM night ties. And I so desperately wanted them to be at the table of the conversation because if you're a dental company and you sell red and blue and everybody says they don't like red because it's too thick and they don't like blue because it's too thin, I mean, they need that feedback. And I tell those people the best way to sell your stuff on Dental Town is to go in there and be helpful. You can have in your signature, hey, I'm not a dentist, I work for a dental company, and here's my contact information, but go show your advice. And I think the all-star who did it the best was actually a dental lab by the name of Sean Keating. He was a dental laboratory guy, and he would just go on there, and people would be bad-mouthing the lab, and Sean's like blowing up the picture of that impression that still had a cotton roll in the emperor gum. And he's like, dude, I can't even see the margin. You're sending me an impression with a hepatitis, germ-filled HPV cotton roll. Are you crazy? And look at that margin. There's no reduction. And he just went in there and engaged and never once said, he never said, oh, why don't you send it to my dental lab? And now his lab does like $5 million a month. And he told me the whole clientele is Dental Town townies. And most of them just wanted to have a long distance lab person that they actually knew, that was accessible, that they had a conversation with.
Nothing turns a townie off more than someone posting something, use me, use my product. It's more like helping people, and then people saying, wow, I'm going to use that guy. He's very helpful. He knows what he's talking about, just from what I could see. And that's how a company can use Dental Town to grow their practice, and go to a company or a product, and that's we see that all the time. I mean, Sandy Pardue in terms of practice management. She's giving so much helpful advice. Jason Wood in terms of legal advice. I mean, Tim Lott in terms of accounting advice. They're not saying they never once post use me. They post, you know, you could use your 401k to do this and that, and they go, wow, this guy knows all about 401ks. I'm going to ask him for some accounting advice, and then that's how they get their clients.
And that's what I've been arguing with practice management consultants, because a dentist doesn't want to hand you $30,000 and have no idea what you're going to come into the office and do. Exactly. And then people like Sandy Pardue, I don't know if you've ever seen her office, but she has her work computer, and then she has another screen that's the message boards on Dentaltown. And she's doing her work, and then she's over here answering questions. And what she did, and the reason she's the busiest consultant and hired consultants and lectures 7-8 times a month, is because she would, from her heart, answer the questions, and all these dentists could see how she thinks. And then they realize, I like the way she thinks, and I know I'm not going to get it done in my office. I can't lead my team to do this. When I tell them to do it, they won't do it. So all I'm doing is writing a check to have your thinking implemented. And I tell people that whether it's an isolate, you know, don't get there and say, buy isolate. Go in there and show cases and comment about how to use it, and go in there and solve and show feedback about, man, this would be a great case for this and do that. And
I sold my dental practice 2 years ago, and I needed a dental attorney. You know, I went to Dentaltown. The best dental attorney in Dentaltown was Jason Patrick Wood. I mean, he never said use me. I just saw this guy is giving great advice. He knows all the answers. I needed a dental account. I went to Tim Lott. I mean, and I switched my whole account thing. He went back through my previous 5 years of my local accountant, and he found like $20,000 worth of errors in my favor, and I got reimbursed from the IRS. I mean, it's just, you know, I could name on and on how much Dentaltown has changed my life.
Go into that story about selling your practice. I forgot the details. You had your license taken away, so you had to sell it the next morning.
She told
so you
me
needed an attorney.
She told me she was over 16. Okay, she looked over 16.
Jason Patrick Wood is so funny. He's so smart. And every time I see him, I give him a big hug, and I just say thank you so much for everything you've done for Dentaltown. I mean, you answer all of those questions, and you have non-lawyers disagreeing with me, and you're so polite, saying, well, according to the law, and you just pour this stuff out from your heart, and thank you so much. And that's what he said. He says, I do it because I love it, but I have to tell you, I get a ton of business from that. I mean, I get a ton of business. So it's a win-win situation. And what people don't understand is when I went to MBA school, one of the teachers was the book that wrote The Law of Reciprocity. And that is, the more you give, the more you get back. That humans are hardwired for empathy and sympathy. So if I buy you lunch, you're hardwired to say, well, next month I want to buy you lunch. And if I give you a donut, you'll hand me an eclair, and we're hardwired. And the more and they've always said in religion, whatever you want more of, give out. If you want more love, give out more love, you know, and just give out what you want back. And the more you share, the more you show you care, the more you'll get back. And it's just a beautiful deal.
I take back, you know, also even when I was in practice, so many changes I made in the last, you know, because of posts I saw in Dentaltown. I mean, I ended up buying a Cerac. I ended up buying a Periolase because of, like, I saw what great results it was getting on there. I mean, I started using Surpass as my bonding agent. I became a firm believer in isolates. You know, all these things I never even heard of before Dentaltown.
And I was surprised you went with Surpass because you're a big Scotch drinker, and John Kanka likes champagne. So how could you buy a champagne product?
Yeah, that's the least of Don and I's differences.
But I want to go back to, you bought a Cerac, and a message of how you did the Dentaltown boards is that people who bought, you know, there's now one major competing system, the E4D, but now there's 3 or 4 lining up in the rafters from Korea and Japan. So the CAD/CAM market is going to explode with a lot of new players. But you did something very genius again about your new philosophy, is that people who had already passed the decision of whether they're going to buy a Cerac or an E4D, bought the E4D, and then they would showcase and ask the question about E4D, and then these idiot Cerac users would go in there and say, you should have bought a Cerac, rah, 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 rah. And you're like, dude, we're past that. I mean, I'm at piano lessons. I didn't get the Steinway. I got the Yamaha. And every time I have a piano question, I want to hear that I should have bought a Steinway. I bought a Yamaha. Get over it. And so tell them how you handle that.
I made separate forms for E4D and for CEREC. And if you had a question, sure, CEREC, if it was a generalized question about what block to use, well, a CEREC user could answer for an E4D user. But if you wanted to talk about which is better, E4D or CEREC, or that debate, we left one thread and one thread only. And anytime anyone posted on a different thread or tried hijacking it, say, go to that thread over there to discuss it. And if you do go to that thread, it better be in a civil manner, you know. You can discuss the pros and cons of one machine versus the other, but we're not going to have every single E4D or CEREC thread into this debate. It's just
I know it'd be like sending you an email saying, what's 2 plus 2? Is it 3 or 4? And you'd say, well, idiot, you're on a Microsoft. If you would have asked me this on an Apple, you'd already know the answer.
Another example was the endo threads. Back in 2006, it was the most contentious forum on Dentaltown. It was, and the reason it was so contentious was because every time someone posted a case, there was a dentist that said, you should use my file instead. And I'm not going to name names, but you should my file. It's a lot safer, okay?
Was it safer or safe-sider?
That's why I was trying to be subtle, man. There's no subtlety with you, is there?
Well, the deal is, I love Barry. I love him to death. He's a great guy. I mean, what I love about him is he has an open door policy. Any stranger dentist off the street walks in his endodontist practice, and he just teaches you endo. But
he's a wonderful guy, but he's not a message board. That's
because his one deal, his ultimate problem is breaking a file. And for the other 99% of dentists, that's not the main issue. And I mean, I can't even remember the last time I broke a file. I mean, it's been it's been years. I mean, the files got better. The engine drivens, their torque measured. So if it gets too much, it starts going backwards. It stops. Right. You know. So yeah. But you're right.
Yeah, there are dentists that are great for dentistry, but it may not be best suited for the message board for various reasons.
And another thing we noticed on the message board is when I started Dentaltown, I assumed all the great lecturers would be a perfect fit for the message board, and that is a different skill set. The great lecturers, almost none of them converted to message boards, and
they don't want the interaction. They want to be on that pedestal. Too many of them. They want the pedestal, and they don't want to be one-on-one of Joe Schmo being able to ask them as anything.
They don't want to set. It's like, why was OJ not on the witness stand? They did not want OJ on the witness stand because he hacked his wife and her boyfriend to death. And the people on the pedestal don't want to be cross-examined. They don't want a follow-up question. And I was really amazed that the greatest people that developed in Dentaltown had the message board and digital talking, and was a whole different skill set than the lecture world. And today, Now Dentaltown's been out, what is it? How old is it? 98 to 2014, 16, 17 years. And now, it's still two different populations of educators. There's the internet world, and then there's the in the bricks and mortar convention world. And those are just two different groups of people.
Yeah, and some lecturers just don't want to have that interaction. And this is unfortunate, but so be it. That's the whole new generation. Like we said, like John Osti, he loves he gets off that pedestal. He wants the interaction with Joe Schmo on Dentaltown, everyday dentist, and he loves to answer the questions. And I admire people like that so much. And you do too, for that matter. You were on there all the time giving advice and helping out dentists. And
it's funny because a lot of people ask me, they say, How do you post so many times a day? I mean, I think I posted 400 times last month or whatever, but I founded Dentaltown in '98 because I'm addicted to this product. I mean, I just love it. I love my family always thinks it's hilarious because I love every time the boys are all together, we could be eating sushi, but Dad wants to take a picture and he wants to send it to Grandma and the family. And some people just like to share. I mean, I think it's amazing. I mean, you worked your job the first 3 years for free, and I'm addicted to my own company. I mean, and I've been asked to sell it a few times by some major players, and all I can say is it would be exactly like me selling one of my 4 boys. I mean, I don't know. By the way, you always told me you had 1 child, but I'm looking at the picture. I see two. You had 2 children. I see all these pictures of these 2 dogs.
We have lots of dogs. We have 4 dogs right now.
You have 4 dogs?
Don't ask. Don't ask. We have 2 very old ones that are on their way out, and we got their replacements before they're on their way out. So right now there's an overlap, and it's a lot. Now I have one child. He's 25 years old, and he's wanted nothing to do with dentistry. Like your boys. I don't think any of your boys want to be a dentist, do they?
I don't know. I don't know. I still got I still got a sophomore and a senior, and they changed. You should go through their major changes. They gone from dentistry to geneticist to world religion to business. And the only one I was concerned about is world religion. I was like, can we get on monsterjobs.com and find a job where you're needed with a degree in world religion? You know, that might be a hobby.
It's like Goldstein Martin joke. He said he went to philosophy. It was a philosophy major, and he figured he'd open a philosophy shop when he opened up.
Yeah. Now everybody's a communications major, and I say, well, move to Phoenix, because I hear they're opening up a lot of communication manufacturing plants, and that'll be hiring your communication major. So Hogo, I'm down to just 5 minutes with you.
Sure.
Wrap this thing up. So I'm going to pose this question. I'm sure most of the people listening to this are big Hogo fans of your 30,000 posts and everything.
You're enemies too.
I've never met one. Everybody loves you. Everybody I've ever met loves you.
I don't understand that there is no such a thing as censorship. That this is a private forum, and there are things that are inappropriate to say because it's not a free speech. And some people think that if we delete it, it's a personal affront to them. No, you and I have had more posts deleted than anybody. You know, and we don't care. You know, it's like, at times it needs to be deleted. Don't take it personally. It's just, it wasn't appropriate. You might have to write that time. It might have been the wrong thing to say. Just deal with it and move on. You know.
And you know, another great thing that I request for townies, a lot of these people might have a contentious relationship with another poster and all this stuff. And then this year's townie meeting, we're coming up on 12 or 13 or whatever. You know how many times I have been to a townie meeting, and you know, dentists, they're all part engineer, part scientist, part dentist, part introvert, and they're meeting and they're saying, yeah, I'm Dr. Fred from Texas, and then they're like, oh, I'm Dr. Frank from Colorado, and they're like, well, what's your name on Dental Town? Oh, I'm Smiley. Oh my God, you're Smiley too. And I recommend to these guys, when you're sitting there posting digitally with someone every day for years, go meet these people in the flesh. It is so fun to meet. And for me, I know I always get tripped over this, but I never expected the person to look or sound or talk in person like they were on the message board. So my brain has this image of this short, fat, bald guy, and then it turns out he's 10 years younger. So many of the townies that have freaked me out is you think this is some intelligent, mature 50, 60-year-old dentist, and then you meet at the townie meeting and they're like 32, and you're like, what? I got kids almost as old as you. I never would guess. The townie meetings are awesome.
It is. I remember a couple years ago, this dentist comes up to me and says, hi, I'm Extractor. Now, Extractor is this Mormon, far right-wing Mormon from Kansas, right? Who I used to argue.
Where I'm born and raised, Wichita, Kansas.
Yeah, well, he comes up. He's afraid how I was gonna meet. You know, if he was scared to introduce himself to me because and so I just look at him. And he just hand out. I push his hand away and I give him a big bear hug, right? And he just had a big shit-eating grin on his face. I mean, it was someone you just know all these years, and it's my God. Just friends of yours.
I love Extractor.
Yes. So.
His real name's Tim, right?
Tim Adams.
Tim Adams, yeah. I love it. I mean, yeah, obviously he's a little right-wing, conservative Mormon guy, but god dang, he's got a heart bigger than a grizzly bear.
Right. I love
that.
So, and there's so many people like that on Dental Town. I mean, just, that's what, that meeting, as you said, the meeting is you meet someone, it's like, once you meet them in person, it's like really hard to argue with them online, too. You know, it's like, you see them in a different light then, and it's that's what's good about the meeting.
So I want to end on this. I don't know if a lot of people know the original story of Dental Town, but when I started Dental Town, I was lecturing 40, 50 times a year, and it wasn't howardfarran.com. Right. It was Dental Town. And it wasn't Dentist Town, it was dental. If you work full-time in dentistry, I don't care if it's a lab, you're a hygienist, a dentist, everyone's invited. And I did not post at all for the first couple of years because I did not want it to be perceived or as the Howard Farran show. It is about you guys. And when I'm doing these podcasts, we're about user-generated content. It's Dentaltown's not about me. Every one of those threads, now you can upload a podcast or a video on any thread. Right. And what Hogo and I are doing, we're just Skyping each other. Microsoft bought Skype a couple years ago for $8.9 billion. We dialed into each other. All this is the little $10 microphone and a little video cam that you showed me from your pornography days. And so this is easy. So anybody could Skype someone and upload this video in Dentaltown. And I would like to see, and I would like to challenge more dentists to start creating Skype videos, conferences, because I really believe that if they could see, scratch, hear, smell, hug the person they're talking to, they'll bond deeper and deeper, and then they'll be nicer and nicer. And this is just a new form of digital communication that I made available for everybody a couple years ago. So I'm going to start doing a lot of these to start a trend. And hopefully my goal is that all the podcasts I do, that, you know, a couple years from now, that my podcasts aren't even 1% of the total audio video podcasts uploaded on Dentaltown.
Right. All right. Everyone that does this can upload it on Dentaltown. It's free for everyone to do it. We want it.
And then Hogo's going to censor the crap out of it, delete half of it.
In fact, this one's coming off.
Well, Hogo, seriously,
my pleasure.
You're my idol. You're my mentor.
It's my pleasure to work for you, Howard. You really are a great person to work for. I love your vision.
And everybody calls, when we had two Howards, they call him Hogo, and now me Halfar.
I was Howard for like 58 years, and also I became Hogo.
And I became the other Howard. Okay. And you're a mentor of mine. You're a role model. Thank you so much that you've done for dentistry. Thank you so much for joining the Dentaltown team, and thank you for all that you've done for Dentaltown.
Thank you, Howard. I'll be in Phoenix in a couple of weeks. I'll see you, buddy.
See you on the boards.
Take care. Bye-bye.